Please like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Welcome to the main meeting of the Central Florida Computer Society. It's the second Sunday of the month, and we're ready to roll. If anyone needs a pit stop, just go do it, I guess. And we're going to be doing a TechSIG style question and answer. We don't have a speaker for the meeting today, so we'll just start off with people who got some things that they'd like to share. And Mike Ungerman, I know you have some subjects, so can I ask you to start it off?
Okay. I'm going to say about 6, maybe 7 months ago, I started to get more privacy conscious and investigated ways of making my online time more private. And I'm not, that could be a whole session. I did in fact do an APCUG Wednesday webinar on social media and privacy. But I also started thinking about the devices I was using and decided that I'd really like to have a small, light, ultra slim notebook that I could use for Linux, and then just start using that as my personal walk around the house, sit and watch television at night in the bedroom, you know, before I go to sleep, whatever I wanted to do, instead of using a Chromebook or using my Windows notebook. So I went on Amazon shortly after the first of the year and just searched notebooks and ordered by price, kind of like what Huey was doing when he said he was looking for something to put Windows 11 on. And I found a notebook. The brand name is Jumper, of all things. And it's obviously a Chinese notebook, but the distributors are over in Eastern Europe, and all of the promotional videos for it were by heavily accented Eastern European speaking English. So you kind of got the idea that, okay, they sort of put this thing together. But as I recall, the price was about $225. And specs weren't that great, but I figured, well, if I'm just going to put Linux on it, why not? So I did. Fast forward maybe 6 months, and about a week and a half ago, before the 4th of July, the deficiencies of that notebook: slow, processor runs very, very hot if you task it to do anything, and I play some online games that have lots and lots of graphics, and I had to put it on a lap pad that elevated it, because if I just set it in my lap, it would burn my legs. It got so hot. And I said, all right, tax return came back in, got a little extra dollars to spend, and the 4th of July is coming up. Let's see what I can do to upgrade this, what I've got, still with the ultimate goal of doing a Linux notebook. But in our Linux SIG, we had a number of users that asked questions about, I think I see Donna Armitage on, about dual booting Linux with Windows. And John Kennedy from APCUG had said, I really don't recommend it, but some of our users have, and I've never done that. And I thought, well, why not just go ahead, get a little bit more powerful notebook, spend a little bit more money, and get a notebook. So I found a Dell. So I'm going to switch. It's online. It's participating in the conference. I'm going to share my screen if I can with it. And let's see here what it's going to give me when I share it. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. It says, yeah, I see that. Okay, when I look at it, and somebody let me know if my voice fades, and I'll put my headset on. So I'm going to minimize some of the stuff that's on here and just go right to my pictures. And here is the Dell Latitude that I found. Let's see if I can make it bigger, because I see that it is okay. Okay, so it's a Dell Latitude, 13 inches, Core i3, It's got the stepping technology with boost speeds up to 3.9 gigahertz, which is pretty fast. Or yeah, it's pretty fast. And the base speed was 210, whereas the jumper, the base speed was something like 110. It only has 128 gigabyte SSD, so it's limited. There are already YouTube videos for this online showing it being opened up and what's inside and how to get the stuff, and showing that it has a standard M2 type SSD, and that it can take up to, I think it can take up to 512, and it may be even a terabyte. I'm not quite sure yet what the max is. So down the line, if I really feel that the 128 gigabytes is limiting me, I'll probably get some more memory for it. And I went ahead and got it. And again, it was on the 4th of July and there was a sale. So we'll close that and we'll look at the very first thing I did, and this was discussed, is okay, is it compatible if I eventually want to try putting Windows 11 on it? And yes, this is the Why Not Windows. Huey, did you ever find the link for that and for the chat, or did anybody find the link and put it in the previous chat?
Oh, I didn't look, and I
Okay.
didn't see anybody that did.
I believe
right.
it was put in.
It was put in? Okay, thank you.
I put it in.
Oh, great, great. So this really is much better than Microsoft's compatibility, because it goes right down all the key items. So it obviously is a new brand new unit, brand new model. It comes with everything that's necessary. The TPM's in there, it's detected, all of the necessary size, even the speeds. Gave me the information that I am running 2 cores, 4 threads with the Core i3 processor. Shows the 4 gigabytes of RAM. That's probably my biggest limiting factor, is the RAM is not in a slot. The RAM is soldered to the motherboard. And I went back and looked on Newegg, and if I had decided to go with 8 gigabytes of RAM, the price would almost have doubled. So I said, no, let's see what I can do with 4 gigs, and let's see, what the configuration of this, the different configurations I can put on it. And the idea is that for everything that I do, I still, even for all the testing and things that I do, I really do want to use this daily, just for whenever I'm away from my office, and I just want to sit down. Like I started working on the Open Office Impress presentation for the Linux SIG, which is going to be Wednesday. Little promo for that. And I started working on this notebook, and then I just transferred it to my desktop to continue working on it today. So this is Speccy. If you've never seen this before, Piriform, which has been acquired by Avast, has a whole series of great products. CCleaner, was their foundation product, and then Speccy is their specifications product, and it gives you some very good specifications of any computer, and especially the temperature, which I wanted to watch while I'm playing my game. And it does get warm, but it nowhere, you can't fry eggs with it like you could with the previous one. And I don't know that going through all of the specs. Let's see here. This is the Core i3. So it is running 4 threads, which is nice, and that helps again with the game that I play. It's the Kaby Lake technology, which is some of the latest technology. And if I look down, well, I'm plugged in right now on the battery. Let's see what they're saying. Yeah, fully charged. But when I looked at it with a fully charged battery, it starts off at 10 hours. And I have yet, even unplugged overnight and being used a couple of times, I've yet to get down below 8 hours remaining. So it's extremely efficient in its use of the battery. Let's see. What else we got on that, as far as the equipment goes? Okay, so what do I plan on doing with this? So my thought was, all right, first of all, I want to make Windows as lean as I possibly can and as secure as I possibly can. So I use Macular and Reflect as my backup software, and I have a bootable flash drive for it. And so before I even initialize the computer, I put that in the USB slot and just hit the F12, which is the boot key. And because I guess Windows hadn't been initiated on it, you don't go through all the rigmarole of having a proper UEFI device to boot from. It recognized the flash drive, and I was able to make a backup in original factory condition so that if I ever wanted to restore it, I could do it and work from that. Then I said, all right, now the very first time I get on the internet, I really want to have my VPN running. So let's see if it's running on here right now. I think I didn't enable it while we were connected because I didn't want to slow things down. But you can see I have Proton VPN, and hopefully this doesn't cut it offline, but let me just bring it up. It's flashing. We'll give it a chance to see if I can show it. I want it to actually show on the screen. There we go. All right, so I was able to take the installation software for Proton VPN, put it on a flash drive, and install it before I went online. I did not connect to my router when I did the initial my Wi-Fi when I did the initial Windows setup. I just did the whole setup, the whole configuration, didn't use a Microsoft account, and I just went ahead and set it up and got it running. Many prompts to connect, and I just said, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I went ahead, stuck my flash drive in, put my VPN in, turned my VPN on, and at that point, I connected to my router and I let Windows go ahead and do whatever updates were necessary. And it went to the latest updates. There weren't that many actually with a new computer. It needed the feature update. And other than that, it wasn't the 40, 50 updates that you usually get with a new device. Okay, so we'll minimize that. Then I said, all right, so how can I then optimize the computer to save some space? So here is my C drive, and I'll hit the properties. And let's see how that looks on the screen. Yeah, okay, it's readable. So it's 128, but I have since partitioned it. So essentially, if you're looking just at the C drive, you can see that I've used about 42 gigabytes of that 128 that contains Windows and what programs and utilities I've put on it. Now, it was higher. It was almost 60 to 70. So I was able to start recovering space by doing some certain things. The first thing I wanted to do was there's a very nice mini SD slot. And you can see I have it says it's 128 SD card. And the very first thing I wanted to do was forcefully relocate my documents, my music, my pictures, my videos, and I did put downloads initially to that card, and then get them off of the main drive to give me some space. That was my intent. Then I thought to myself, well, I'd really like to also get my temporary files and potentially my swap drive on that card. So my initial configuration actually, whereas you see an E partition with my temp in it, that initial configuration was on that 128 gigabyte flash drive. Well, that was the wrong decision, because even though it's an SD card, and even though it's a class 10, and it's in the slot, direct slot to the motherboard, it's extremely slow in exchanging data. Downloads going to the download folder were very slow in writing. even trying to install programs from the downloads folder was very slow. And having the temporary files there, even though it cleaned it up the C drive, that was very slow too. So finally, it was this morning, actually, I spent a couple of hours and I said, okay, so what do I actually have to have back on the main SSD? And I decided to partition it with a small temporary partition. And on that, I then changed the variables in the control panel to point temporary files to the temporary folder, which I put in that, let's see, the size of this is, it total is 16. So I just basically took 16 gigabytes off of the C drive and said, all right, let's go ahead and use this for temporary things. And there's some advanced commands that you can use in advanced settings under Windows to change where the virtual swap drive goes. And you can also do a minimum and a maximum, which minimizes the constant adjusting of the size and just reads and writes to the same space. So I went through, and this itself could easily be the subject of another presentation, but essentially going through both setting the temporary folder and the swap drive to that E partition on the main SSD. I got my speed back and I freed up a whole bunch of space on the C drive. Now, what do I want to do with that space? Well, I would very much like to play with the first thing that I said when we started, and that is install Linux Mint Cinnamon as a dual boot Linux on this computer. So I have up to 70 gigabytes that I can play with, and I'll do a custom installation assigning the various required partitions myself instead of just letting Linux do it. And I'll make it dual bootable, and I'll see if I trash the computer or if it works. Assuming it works, I'll then have a dual bootable Windows and Linux unit that I can play with in that configuration for a while. And as long as I'm there, I'd like to then see, do I still have enough space left over to install a virtual machine on the Windows side to run Linux and a virtual machine on the Linux side to run Windows? I don't think so. I think I'll be out of space by that point. But if I get a stable installation of a dual boot of Linux and Windows, I'll play with that for a while and see if that works okay. And assuming it does, I'll probably go ahead and wipe the whole computer again, do an installation of Linux, and then if I was successful previously running a virtual machine in Linux to run Windows, there are very few things I need to do in Windows that I would run while under Linux, and just go through that process. So it'll be a whole learning process, a lot of which will feed over into our Linux SIG on our computer that we use for it, but I'll have a chance to test it with this computer. So all in all, I'm kind of happy with this as a replacement for my called workaholic haul around the house type computer. When I run my game, it's still warm, but not boiling hot like it used to be. And now that I've taken the swap file out of the C partition, the temporary files out of the C partition, downloads and installs are running a lot faster. And the only thing that I'm leaving on the 128 SD card are the key folders, because under Linux, you can access any NTFS device in the Linux operating system. So whatever I do can be common between all the different configurations that I make. And slow reading and writing is not that bad. Comparatively, it's not that bad as far as opening documents and saving them. And same thing with spreadsheets and saving pictures and so on. About the only thing I noticed is in some of my test Zoom video recordings, since I have Zoom set to save to the videos folder, it takes quite a while to save it, even on a short video. So I may change that and put that on the e-partition just to see if that speeds up. So let me stop sharing my screen. Get down to that, all right. And just open it up for questions as to what I did, why I did it, or recommendations or anything along those lines.
Yeah.
Stephen.
Yeah, Mike, that was very interesting. I got a computer, small one, similar to yours. I got a Toshiba Protege, same thing, 128 SSD. I noticed one discrepancy, though, I wanted to ask you about. You mentioned that the processor speed was like 3.4 gigahertz, and
On boost, yeah. It's the Intel, what do they call it? The Intel Turbo Boost that it go to.
yeah, because when you brought up the stats, though, it showed like 2.1 or 2.2 gigahertz.
And that's the base frequency.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So the only difference is my Toshiba, by the way, was the refurb I got for just a couple of $100, and it works great. And the screen detaches so that it can also act as a tablet. And you can use the screen as a keyboard, or you can use the regular keyboard. But I've been very pleased, even though it's a refurb, it works perfectly. So I was glad to hear what you had to say on how yours worked.
Well,
Stephen,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Stephen, the one you're talking about, have you run the test to see if it'll run Windows 11?
I have not, but of course, I didn't know I knew Windows 11 was out there, and now I have learned quite a bit more. So after this meeting, I'll test it out and see if it will.
Would you put the model in the chat box and
Sure.
then let me know if it passed or failed that test?
Yeah, I'd be glad to do that.
Okay. I lost what I was going to say, but that's all right.
All right, Mike,
Mike.
I have a question.
Sure.
Where's your swap file? How would I find that on my Windows machine to move it to the SSD card?
Okay, let's share the screen again. And I think it's just under advanced. So,
What? Advanced Windows.
system
Advanced.
settings. And then memory uses in virtual memory. And then advanced. And then, paging file. I'm so used to saying swap file that Windows calls it paging file. So here's where it shows up. You click on change. And normally you would see one of these and it would normally say automatically manage paging file is normally checked. So you wouldn't even see what it's doing. So this goes back to a technique I think we used even back in Windows 3.1. If this was available then, I think it was. We got into a lot of discussions of how large should a paging file be? How many times memory, for example? Should you let Windows manage it, or should you manage it? And back when we all had mechanical hard drives, we were talking about, well, what happens when we defrag and things are being moved all over the place, and you got a varying size drive. So it was stated at that time that if you truly wanted to improve the efficiency, you would adjust the size of your memory, and then you would then make the minimum and maximum the same sizes. That way, once you've set the minimum and maximum to, let's say, 4 times your RAM, it will, when you save this and reboot the computer, it will relocate the paging file to a specific place on your drive, and then it'll stay there forever, and it won't expand and it won't contract. It'll just be using the space within the boundaries that you set. So I've kind of kept that as a standard for just about every computer that I've set up over the years. And I usually partition most computers that I set up into a C volume for the operating system and programs, a D volume for data, and an E volume for temporary files and the swap file, the partition, the paging file, so that when I go to do an image backup, I don't include that third partition at all. There's no reason to back it up and no reason to restore it. And in many cases, if for some reason your C drive fails cold iron, then you just get your image and restore your C and D drives and create an E drive and then restore your images, and all your settings come back and it knows where to look for and recreate that paging file. And might as well, as long as we're on it, show you how I changed the where the temporary files go, and that's in environmental variables. So when you go to environmental variables, you will see that by default, temp and TMP, which I don't think TMP is ever used again, but it's kind of retained just through Windows history, normally defaults to users, username, and then drilling down Windows and then temp. Okay, so it's, to my mind, even just changing it to C:temp, if all you have is a single drive and a single partition, makes it much easier to get into and clear it out or see what's there anyway. But anyhow, once you change that and then go down into the users variables the same way, you can see they're repeated, or actually these are your user variables for Mike, and then these are the system variables across all users, which are also used. So those were also set to, I think temp was C Windows temp, if I remember correctly, for the system. So that's now changed. So again, you make those changes, you just edit them, double click or click edit, and then you reboot your computer, and those changes will be made, and you'll see the new, you'll see the new temp folder. Here's the temporary E drive, which I created, partitioned, and then here is the garbage that's in here that I don't really care about. And the nice thing is, if you use CCleaner to clean, or any Windows cleaning utility, all your variables point to this, and so when you run your cleaning utility, it'll clean all this stuff up.
Okay, I'm glad this is being videoed so I can do it slowly on my computer, because you knew what you were doing. It'll take me some steps to get there.
It took us a long time, many tries and many discussions in TechSIGs, and we'll probably mention it again, because lots of new people joining us and seeing us doing this sort of maintenance.
How big is the partition for the temp file? How big do you make that partition?
I on my main computer, it's much bigger, but again, because I'm really space challenged with 128 gigabytes to work with, I sat down and I calculated, okay, and I also looked at what the default size was under Let Windows Manage It. If you uncheck Let Windows Manage your paging file, you'll see what Windows currently has for the paging file, and you'll see how large it recommends. And I just said, well, okay, somewhere around 2 gigabytes for the paging file. And then I figured, well, I'm going to put some downloads in there anyway. And if I dedicate 16 gigabytes to that, I could then under Linux access that same partition and do my Linux downloads in there as well. So I just basically chose 16 gigabytes for that partition.
All right. And your operating system for Windows, what size is that partition?
That's the C partition. So here,
Yeah.
let's just go to the, let's go here to, This, by the way, Windows 10 can do this for you. It used to be you needed a partition manager, and I still like EASUS, EASEUS, but their free version doesn't do all the things that it used to do. So under disk management, you can see how it's set up. So you can see that it currently has 100, well, the whole size of C, which I'm going to shrink. Okay, so it's 102 gigabytes usable space. And again, if I look at the free space in it, let's go back to that. And go to the properties. So you can see here's my free space is still more than my used space. With all those changes I made, I got it. I had used up about 70 gigabytes when this thing was installed. And then I started taking space away from it. So I've got essentially 60 gigs to work with to go ahead and install Linux, set up the Linux partitions or folders as required, and still be able to put some programs on it, and then see if I've got enough free space to actually do a virtual machine as well. I may not be able to. We'll have to see.
Okay, are you going to show this partitioning on your Linux SIG?
Yeah, I'll probably use gparted, which is what Joe Kennedy recommends doing. Because once I start working in Linux, I'd rather partition with their utility.
And
But
gparted also works in Windows?
no,
No.
no, if you're on the Windows side before Linux is installed, or if you're on the Windows side after you've installed a dual boot version, and you just want to increase space for other purposes or decrease space for other purposes, you can do it right from Windows 10. I actually started out with EASUS this morning when I was playing with that and realized that the free version no longer lets me resize partitions. It says it does, but it wouldn't on this computer. So I said, well, let's see what I can do in Windows. I knew that I could previously make some changes in Windows and realized that I can just go in right now. I won't actually commit to it, but I can actually go in here now on this C partition. Let's see if it's going to show it to me. Okay, and then I can go in here, right click on it. Yep. All right, so it's going to be action. All tasks. Oops. There you go. All tasks, shrink volume. So I'm going to bring it up, but not do it. Hopefully it won't be connected. So it's checking to see how much space is there. Okay. So here's what you would do. It's telling you what's the current active size of the partition. How much space have you got? You've got 8 gigabytes to play with. And if you want to shrink it another 4, 5, 6 gigabytes. Let's see, size of available. I can't, 83, 82. Yeah, it's telling me. I'm going to have to play with it and see exactly how much I'm going to be able to shrink that. But you can actually do it in Windows. And the other thing I haven't tried yet, obviously I need to know if it's going to be compatible with Linux. I'm sure it will be, but I may boot up from the Linux installation flash drive, and I think gparted is available. And if it is, then I may bring it up and let's see if I can access the C drive and do the shrinking before I do the installation and commit to it.
Okay. I'll wait.
Well,
Thank
another
you.
thing too is like this having about 16 gigabytes in this temporary folder is probably too much. You know, once I'm done, it all depends on how much I want to use that folder for downloads, especially Linux downloads. So I might even be able to cut that in half now that the that the swap file is fixed in its size. Just shrink down to maybe 2 or 3 gigabytes above the space that's currently in use. Something else that I hadn't even looked at and I've done on my main computer, most people don't play with their browser's cache storage locations. So under Internet Explorer and under Edge, it's supported in menus to actually change the location where the cache and the bookmarks and cookies and all the rest of that is actually stored. Why have all that stuff intermingled on your C drive? Why not get it up on your E drive in the temporary folder? That's easy to change. Chrome requires you to go in and in the About Chrome, and Brave in the About Brave, and Firefox, I'm pretty sure it's something similar. And you actually have to go in and make some system changes. And you may even need to go in. I was looking this morning at what's required for Brave. I think I have to make some registry changes. But I can redirect where all that cache is being stored presently on my C drive and put it out there on the E drive under the temp folder. So that will free up some additional space that's being used for excess stuff.
All right. Save that for the Linux SIG too.
Well, the interesting thing will be is all these things that I've done for where cache is located have been done in Windows. I haven't even looked at that for Linux. So, we'll be exploring that on our own just to see, okay,
All right.
how can I do the same things I'm doing in Windows in Linux if I need to?
All right. Thank you.
Let me come out of my screen sharing.
Before you do, Mike,
Yep.
I have
Go
a
ahead.
question. Your disk 1, that is a USB drive, external drive?
No, that's an SD card, 128 gigabyte SD card. It's a class 10, fairly recent manufacture.
Where is that?
It's sitting in a slot on the side of the computer.
Slot.
Yeah, in other words, the computer itself, let's see if I can hold this up and not cause everything to crash.
Computer has an SD card soldered to the motherboard that's 128.
Sprinkler is on.
It's actually an SSD, yeah. Let me stop sharing my screen a second.
Well, that was what was confusing me.
Yeah, stop share. Okay, so now I'm going to turn off my background. And virtual background, and I'm just going to, let's see where it says none.
Okay.
Come on. Oh, it must be up here. Here, just blur. Okay, so here's the notebook. Yeah, it's blurring. It's sort of blurring it. Let me turn off the blur. You see my junky office. Okay, so here's a notebook. Okay, thin. Okay, and here is the side of it with, right there is the mini SD card slot.
I see.
Just like on a phone that has, you push in and it locks and you push in again and it unlocks and comes out.
I see.
Also has USB-C, and we had been discussing that to some extent in the previous presentation. And Huey was talking about a dock. I do have a dock that I originally purchased for the Chromebook, which had a USB-C port. I still have it. And from that dock that you plug in, it has an Ethernet connection. So yes, I can plug in an Ethernet cable, although I need an awful long one to take it all the way to the bathroom. But it has an HDMI, although this has an HDMI port. And I think it's a full size. Let me see if it's a full size port. Yes, it is a full size HDMI port. Let's see, there is.
I see it.
And I have a 32-inch monitor on sitting on my second desk. So, if and when I want to actually get in there and play with it, I can just take the cable and plug it in here and go out to that monitor. And if we ever get back to in-person meetings, then I can attach it to our projector and project. What else does it have? USB 3 on the other side and audio. And as far as the keyboard goes, fairly standard for a small computer. Okay.
Yep.
It would have been nice to have it backlit. It's not backlit. In some of the reviews I saw, there was a complaint that the keys were too small and not responsive. I haven't found that problem. My fingers fit on it pretty good for touch typing. So put that back over here. Let's see what the just out of curiosity, let me see what my battery is showing me now that I've disconnected it. Battery is saying 9 hours and 12 minutes, 99% remaining. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Yep.
Next.
And I've got something. May I?
Yeah, go away. Huey.
Did you see this today? Richard Branson and the Virgin Galactic Unity 22 space flight launched into space and returned today.
Yep.
Now, what do we have? Let's see what I've got on my screen here. What I did, let's see, this one, the one's an MP4 and one's a, let's go ahead and run this. This is the picture of it launching. It launched from a double plane, and then this is with it landing. And it got up there, and that's him landing. So just, I didn't want to play a whole video, but I just wanted to show you. Let me do that one more time and stop it. The actual space capsule is right here. And this is the launch plane. It's a double plane with it in the center. And then it kind of just, let's see if I can go to the next slide here. Right there, it launched it, and then it went up, reached an altitude of, I forgot what it was, but it was enough for it to say that it made it into space. It turned over so they could view the Earth and view through the windows in this rocket. And then it came back down. And when it came back down, this is it going, still going up.
228,
And coming down,
I think.
that's a plane in the background to guide it. There were two, I think a couple of planes to guide it. This is all out in, I believe it was in the desert in New Mexico.
So
And
obviously it's a
this is what it- just
suborbital
before
flight.
touchdown. And then as it touched down.
Yeah,
and
it's
went to the ground,
suborbital,
there were, I
orbital,
think,
but it
4
meets the
people
requirements of
with the-
going into space.
a pilot, Branson himself, and a couple other people. I don't know who they were. I didn't read about that. But
Employees.
the next one is later this month. Jeff Bezos from Amazon has another rocket ship, and he's going up with he and his brother. Somebody who there was a lottery for the drawing as a guest, and a former astronaut who's in his 70s, I believe,
It's a
is
woman.
going up. There'll be the 4 of them going up in his ship. So that's going to be later this month.
The
What time
interesting,
of day was that, Huey?
I'm sorry,
When did that actually go off today?
I believe at 10 something this morning.
yeah, about 11:30 this
Okay.
morning.
At one
I
point-
had forgotten all about it, and I had just finished doing my preparation, going to have a lunch shake, turned on the little TV with Roku, and it was sitting in my YouTube queue. It was the very first thing live. So I actually caught them coming back down, and I had to scroll back and see the actual launch into space. To me, there's a big difference, though. I mean, I know it's anytime you go into space is risky. Branson is basically flying a plane with a rocket engine, and he's got two pilots that are sitting there controlling the airplane, and it's basically has autopilot, and you know, it's got their things that they're more or less monitoring what's going on. But in Bezos' case, you know, you're in a capsule that's on the top end of a rocket, and the whole thing's pre-programmed. There's not much you can do. And if anything at all goes wrong with Bezos, you've just wiped out the head of Amazon, his brother, and you know, some high profile guests that are on board. And he hasn't yet, to the best of my knowledge, he hasn't yet successfully flown that to the space station and docked with it and put their astronauts up, which was the whole purpose of him developing the Blue Origin rockets. So to make his first flight a very high profile flight, seems awful risky to me. I mean, hopefully it'll be successful. You know, it's.
Yeah, I think he has resigned though as CEO.
Yeah.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, he's got.
But he's still the richest man in the world, going up and taking that kind of a chance.
Well,
I
he
don't think I'd
resigned-
do it.
He resigned as president, but he's still CEO,
Yeah.
chairman of the board.
Okay.
Lots going on in space. You know, there's YouTube video after YouTube video after YouTube video. If you follow some of the regular publishers, besides the Starlink, just keeping track of the competition between SpaceX and Blue Origin, and some of NASA's United Alliance stuff. SpaceX has so outflown everything else in the space industry in terms of number of launches, payloads put into space, recovery of boosters on a regular basis now, reflying those boosters. It's just amazing to me, just in the last, so let's say the last 3 years, what they've been able to accomplish just because of the corporate profile that Elon Musk has established.
And besides the SpaceX, Elon Musk Starlink, you've got OneWeb, and you've got the program that Bezos is putting up. He's putting up another 20,000 satellites too.
But
and-
look how far
and-
look how far ahead SpaceX is.
Yeah, and also the Chinese are going to be doing it as well.
Yeah.
They've already got a space station up.
Yep.
They got people on it.
Yep.
China does.
And
We don't hear about that too much.
No, if you did a poll of everybody that's here right now, I'm not asking for it, but if you did a poll of everyone that's here right now, it'd probably be a good cross section of the general public, and you'd say, what is the life of the International Space Station? And how many people first would question the question itself, and then how many people could accurately answer it in terms of, do you realize that within our lifetimes, I believe, or not much longer than our lifetimes, they plan on deorbiting the International Space Station and letting it just burn up? It's got a finite life. And that I just learned like 6-8 months ago, that really surprised me. But you think of all the energy that went into putting that up into orbit, and the energy that's still going on for the experiments and the stocking of it and all the rest of that, to realize that. And we don't have a plan to replace the International Space Station, but China does, and it's not international. So,
Well, we're
I guess
planning
they're just
to we're planning to put apparently people on the moon on a base,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact. So that's coming up pretty soon. In fact, they've already
Moon and Mars.
designated. Yeah, well, Mars will be next, probably with Musk.
Musk says that within the decade, he'd like to put 2 million people on Mars. Okay.
Can I choose some of them?
Funny.
Yeah, there was a paper with 100,000 signatures that were hoping that Bezos would go up but not come back down.
God. Oh. That's horrible.
Why he's so hated, I don't know.
Well, his corporate philosophy is kind of, Musk's corporate philosophy kind of follows his personal philosophy and his personality. You know, it's if I can think it, why not do it? And if it fails, so what? I'll just do it again. I went over to the coast and watched the first Falcon Heavy launch, which was really quite an event. It was lots of hoopla, and I paid for a premium seat over there in the grandstands and watched this thing go up. And afterwards, Musk was quoted on the news, or at least on the YouTube, as saying, "I didn't think it was going to make it. I figured it'd blow up on the launch pad." You know, so
Is that the one that looks like it came from Captain Video?
yeah, it's got the two big boosters on the side and the booster in the middle, and all three of them come back down.
I was watching the long range video of Branson up there today, and it reminded me of watching Captain Video and what was the other one? Space Ranger.
Buzz
or
Corey
something.
of the Space
Yeah.
Patrol.
Yeah. You could see the string that was holding it. And it almost looked like that because it was, it was just a straight camera with a huge telephoto lens on it. And so
It's
it
an
was
in-
jumping around like it was on a string. It was funny.
It's an interesting philosophy with the design of the Virgin Galactic rocket, because it's got these big booms with fins that rotate almost 90 degrees from the body, or up this way. And there are also nitrogen thrusters in those tail booms, so they can maneuver it before the air hits it. But unlike so many of the other devices that go up into orbit and then come back down, they don't use heat tiles. And it's a combination of the boom and the angle of this thing coming through the atmosphere that rides it out without, I mean, sure, they've got insulation, but it's nowhere near the extreme things that the space shuttle had to encounter, that our capsules have to encounter. And I know they're putting tiles on the new Starship with its booster and its main rocket too. And they all have to assume an attitude and come down through with these tiles, taking all the heat and the plasma and all the rest of that before they maneuver it to land them. Interesting technology.
Who of us would have guessed, though, that the Chinese would be able to put a probe on the dark side of the moon and another probe on Mars with a rover, considering all the failures that have happened on Mars missions so far? I mean, there is a space race for sure.
Yep.
And we're going to have to work hard to keep up with it, I think.
Well, they also have a lot of stolen technology to work with too.
Oh, well, that's right. They got a head start by stealing our technology. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
By the way, I have an interesting question for you. Actually, I think I know the answer, unless this is wrong, but I always wondered about gravity. As I understand, if you were simply to fly straight up, not going into orbit, just straight up 250 miles, would you be in anti-gravity at that point? Not circling the Earth, just straight up.
The way that Branson did it today is they went straight up, and they didn't go into a profile that would have put them into orbit if they'd gone higher. And if you go back and watch the video, and there's the person that was commenting on it, they actually said at the time, okay, the rocket has shut down now. And you look on the side and you see that it's still going up because of momentum, but it has gotten away from the Earth's gravity. And then what they did is they flipped it with the booms, and the passengers, because they had flipped it, and because you can now, the people that are inside the capsule are experiencing gravity different because of their angle. And they were actually floating around the inside of the capsule.
Yeah, but
And
my
it was
understanding
in a
is,
hyperbolic maneuver to get them to do that.
yeah, so it's the anti-gravity is because they're falling at the same speed as the craft. But my understanding is that actually, if you go up 250 miles, the gravity there is about 90% of what it would be on the Earth. It is
Yeah.
only when you're using this centrifugal force of the orbiting whatever station, satellite, whatever, that's what the anti-gravity is. You must be using that centrifugal force. That's the anti-gravity. There's slightly reduced gravity, but if you just go straight up with the Earth,
Straight back.
you know,
down.
yeah, you know, circling underneath you, you really haven't done that much as far as reducing gravity. That's my understanding. If you find out something different, let me know, because I did look that up.
The NASA has an airplane they call the Vomit Comet.
Oh, yes.
Goes back to when they used to actually have a comet.
Yeah.
British comet jet. That was one of the first ones. And what they do is they simulate zero G for future astronauts and future people, there'll be passengers and all the rest of that. And that's what they do. They go up and they fly a profile where they arc it over and they get into this profile where the plane is now falling on this parabolic arc, and they get somewhere about a minute and a half's worth of zero G relative to the aircraft as gravity is pulling the plane back down.
So any of us that have been on a commercial airline that have had an air pocket, we've been in zero G as well. Or
Yeah.
if you've been to the fair and been on some of those rides, yeah, you've been in zero G as well. Not for very long, but yeah, that's zero G.
Yep.
Just a little trivial thing that you can win a bet next time you go to your favorite bar.
Of course, if you asked Einstein, he'd probably give you an equation for it.
Oh, he would. He'd say, well, no, you're just modifying space. That's all. So yes. Yeah, that debate goes on, but at least we now know that there are gravity waves though. So what we make of that, a whole lot will come out of that eventually, I think.
Again, YouTube is an amazing resource
Yes.
for science.
Absolutely.
And
For history, for everything.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. It is by far the best thing out there, really. Whatever you want. I learned how to fix my washing machine using YouTube. I mean, it was amazing. Yes.
Okay, Stan,
Okay,
what else
who
you
else
got?
has something to share? Any? new
That's my little
sites
computer,
or
by the way.
gadgets?
So,
Stevens Toshiba.
so Huey, you got my information. I put it on chat.
Yeah, and I checked it. It's about a $1,500 computer.
$200 is what I paid for this little refurb job, and it works just perfectly.
Wow.
A brand new one is like 1,500.
Yeah.
Where'd you find it at 200?
Let's see, where did I get this thing?
Smart guys?
No, it's Tiger Direct.
Oh,
Oh,
wow. They're
Yeah.
still around, huh?
Yeah. You know, refurbs, it still had a warranty, still under warranty. And, you know, I've checked it out. I've used it. It works beautifully. The only thing I haven't done is I have not detached the screen and turned it into a tablet yet. So I haven't found the need to do that, but
And you probably won't.
I probably won't. And by the way, it has very long battery life too. It's like, 10 hours of battery life. It's extremely good.
and the new chips, both AMD and Intel, the new generations of chip are extremely energy efficient.
Yeah. So this one was good. I also got another one. I got an HP ProDesk 600 with an Intel Core i7, 3.4 gigahertz, with a 1 terabyte SSD, 32 gigabytes of RAM. Same kind of deal. List price was about $1,300. I got it for $499 plus $10 shipping. It was another refurb and couldn't find anything wrong with it. Perfect shape. Again, I haven't tested it, but it was just too good of a deal to pass up. So I'll check it out and let you know whether or not it also is set up for TMP.
But you might check Smart Guys. That's where we got it, our
I did,
Lenovo.
I did.
Okay.
He didn't have anything that.
Yeah.
would
I'm
fit.
not sure. I'm not sure what this Lenovo would do, because I think both of those routines are designed to be run in Windows. I would have to find something that would run under Linux, because we haven't, we've taken Windows off that Lenovo we're using for our SIG. Maybe just look up the specifications. I'll try to find the specifications of the laptop and let you see, because once we're done with it with the SIG, if the club doesn't want to retain it, it might be available for sale.
Okay. So anyone else have anything they'd like to share?
Dan, can you hear me?
Yes, Ted, how are you?
I got a window with that circle for a head and an oblong white. How do you get the picture in there on the screen?
You mean on your Zoom, the computer you're using now for Zoom?
Yes,
Or is it a computer or an iPad?
iPad.
iPad. I can't help you with that. And I don't think there are that many.
I know you touch it, you touch the screen and you go to video settings and you have to turn your video on because your video isn't on at the moment.
All right, I have an iPad. At the very top bar, if you just touch the screen, the top bar comes down. And after mute is start video. And I think that will
There you
show
go.
your, or no,
Yeah.
and there's also, yeah, that was start video. I think then you could be seen.
We got
You,
it.
Very good.
There you
Thank
are.
you, Donna, thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
Looking good, Ted.
Isn't technology wonderful when it works?
I wish I felt good.
Oh, gosh. Hey, Ted, good to see you from Life at UCF. So, yes.
August, we start live. You know
That's
that?
right. I hope to see you there. Huey, by the way, helped us quite a bit there. I've mentioned that before too. We appreciated that.
Yeah, I came across a couple of pictures when I presented at one of the meetings when we had, 400 people there.
Yeah,
After you left, Ted took over for a while and he conducted a few classes for people as well.
yeah, it lasted about 5 weeks.
Yeah. Well, they asked everything. They wanted cell phone information, tablet information, computer information, Apple information. They wanted all of it. And that was just too much for any one person.
How many of you guys are military officers?
I'm retired military, but I wasn't an officer.
Yeah, me too.
Mike,
Yeah.
You know-
06, Commander.
you know about MOAA?
Yes. Mhm.
You
I'm a
know
member.
do you ever attend their luncheons?
Well, in the last year, I haven't attended any luncheons, so not yet. I'm aware of it, but I haven't gone to any, no.
Okay, Tuesday at the Holiday Inn, Alafaya Trail and Highway 50 at 11:30. See you there.
Not yet, Ted. Not ready.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to wait till Delta gets past us. I think that's a bit of a problem. And get some of the 12 and under vaccinated as well.
Well, we haven't had any meetings for about a year now. And they're going to start August, I think it's 17th. I'm not sure of the date.
I'm putting a couple of promos in the chat this Wednesday at 7 p.m. CFCS Linux SIG will be holding its third, I think, meeting since we formed. And
And this Wednesday, APCUG has their monthly or
workshops, yes.
their workshops, and I'm doing Evernote. So if you missed my presentation on Evernote, I'll be doing it. And then Mark Schulman from CFCS will be doing his OneNote directly after that. And that will be the APCUG workshop. The notice it went out, some groups got, and I got it wrong as well, but I corrected it when I posted it. It is the 14th and not the 17th, but it's an APCUG workshop, and you do have to click on a link and go and register. The registration is strictly your first and last name and what user group you're a member of. And then you'll get a link probably Tuesday or Wednesday to join the meeting.
That's July.
Yes, July.
Usually it's 3 out of 4.
14th.
Yeah, it's usually 3 out of 4 Wednesdays at noon. I know it conflicts with the UCF, doesn't it?
No,
that's-
UCF on Tuesdays,
Oh,
usually.
is it Tuesdays? Okay.
Yeah, it starts at 9 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning, goes till
And
11.
I did post it in the TechSIG and the not the Linux SIG. I don't think I did, but the Apple SIG as well.
So
The CFCS.
Actually, Mike might be talking
Links.
about the summer UCF thing, which was a different setup, but yeah, so
Yeah.
there might have been a conflict there.
And then Thursday, let's see, Thursday I do the Tech for Senior Live with Ron Brown and Bob G and Bill James. We do a discussion about technology for 1 hour it is not on Zoom, it is Facebook and YouTube. And then Saturday, I am doing a presentation for the North Texas PC user group actually, I'm doing that one on Evernote, and I've got another one coming up on Google searches for a group, and I can't remember what group that is. I've got a busy week ahead of me.
It's all on your website, isn't it, Huey?
It's on my Facebook page. I don't know if it's on the website or not.
Oh,
I
Facebook.
got so many places I got to post this stuff on. I can't remember them all.
Yeah, I hear that.
You need the reverse of Feedly, where you put something in and it sends it out to all the places. you normally
And
go.
there are things, but there's different ways I got to phrase it and do it too.
and the board of directors for CFCS is this Thursday at 6 o'clock. I'll be getting a note out on that later, today or tomorrow. The TechSIG will be the 27th. That's the 4th Tuesday. The Apple SIG is the 18th. That's the 3rd Monday. So we've got a lot going on here too.
Hey, Stan, are you the treasurer for CFCG?
I'm the president of.
You're the president? Who's the treasurer?
The treasurer is a chap named Mike Leach. I'm not sure if he's still on. He was earlier.
Yeah,
I
he's
just-
here.
Yeah, I just wanted him to check to make sure I'm paid up. I think I am, but I may not be. If I'm not, send me an email. So,
Well, we've had some real difficulties with the treasury over the past couple of years, and we did not have an active list of members, and we were not collecting dues. So you're officially a
oh,
member.
I'm okay. All right,
Yeah.
good. I know I used to get those, and I thought, boy, I haven't seen him for a while. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
no longer in.
there's a lady in Brooksville, Florida, who joined the Sarasota group, but she also wants to join the CFCS group. But does that mean that she doesn't have to pay anything? All she has to do is get her name to somebody?
Yes. Yeah, when we get back to person-to-person meetings, we'll be doing another election because the officers have just decided to stay on past the January date, and we'll be deciding what to do with the dues at that point.
That sounds good.
Is there a form she needs to fill out?
I just told her to get hold of Stan.
Yeah,
Did you
that's
put
why I'm
my-
telling him now.
I'll put my email address on forward.
Well, she's not on here right now.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
All right.
Great meeting, I'll tell you. Just tons of information. It's worth a barrel of cash, that's for sure. But don't ask for it.
And nice to see our national, if not international audience joining us.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw Detlef was on. I don't think he's still on. He comes in from Berlin. He's on our Tech for Senior Monday show a lot, almost every week now.
Well, if
We're
there's-
up to about 60, I think it's 67 or 68 weeks now. We've done the Tech for Seniors. It started out, Ron and I put it together with the idea, well, while people are quarantined for the next few weeks, we'll do it for a few weeks. And now we're at the 69 or close to 70 weeks straight we've done it. And that will be again tomorrow. And if anyone needs the link, I can go get it and give it to
I
you.
put
It's
the
the
link
same-
in the chat.
Okay, it's every Monday, it's the same link. And come join us. We've been just shy of 100. We were over 100 every week, or not over, but we got to 100. And so we are also, most of it is being sent out live on YouTube at the same time. The one on Thursday is only Facebook and YouTube. We do not do it on Zoom. We use a program called StreamYard, and we're able to, everybody can chat. And actually we gave away a gift card. We did a drawing for a gift card last week on Tech for Senior Live for an Amazon card. And then starting this week, Avast is going to sponsor our program by giving a 3-month subscription to the winner of the drawing starting this coming week, a 3-month subscription, paid subscription for our drawing. And we're going to be able to do that every week for just a 30-second spot. So it's very nice of them to do that. And all you have to do is be there and type in a code in the chat box on either Facebook or YouTube, and StreamYard has a way of then turning that into a random selection and picks the name. So we don't know who the winner is. And when you do it, you see all the names floating by, and they do it once or twice, and then it'll slow down, and then it'll show the winner's name. This technology is neat when it works.
Well, if there was anything good at all about the pandemic, it brought a lot of people together that never would have met under the same circumstances. We were doing some hybrid meeting broadcasts, but nothing like it's going on now.
Yeah, Clark's here from Princeton. Was it Princeton, New Jersey, right, Clark? And Cheryl, I don't recognize you. Where are you from?
Yeah, you're right. You're Princeton, New Jersey.
I'm newly moved to Melbourne Beach.
Oh,
Yeah, welcome
welcome.
to Florida.
Mm.
Thank
How'd you
you.
find out about us, out of curiosity?
I started Googling, and there was a meetup group that was in Vero, and somehow I clicked into the earlier meetings, and I've just stayed on, but this is very interesting. I was in a computer group back in Alexandria, Virginia, and I try to host a group at my condo back in Alexandria, which obviously we're doing via Zoom, and trying to keep, we've got a lot of seniors in there, a lot of people that are very intimidated by technology. So I'm trying to come up with topics that are swallowable and inviting
Oh, the
to
right
them.
flower.
Were you in Paddocks? Was that the group in Alexandria?
No,
Okay.
the Holland Hall Senior Center.
Okay. My address is huey.net is the website. Go there and go to the YouTube page and look around. There's links to a lot of the senior groups that I'm part of online. You'll find a wealth of links, and we have a lot of videos out on YouTube that you're free to use for any of your meetings or
Thank
refer
you.
any of your people.
Thank you.
and get in touch with me if you want. I'm in Bradenton. Although I came out of the Orlando area and a member of CFCS since 1987, but I'm now also a member of the Sarasota group, and I'm a speaker with the APCUG Speakers Bureau. So I've got a lot
Thank
of
you so
contacts
much.
and a lot of help for you.
Yeah, I'll be in touch. Thank you.
Anthony Pizza, I forgot what group you're with.
I'm with the Channel Islands user group out in Oxnard, Ventura County, California. I also joined remotely the Glendora Senior Computer Club because Anne Marie thought she had a nice club going there. So I try to attend her meetings too.
And there's JJ, and what group are you with, JJ?
I'm the founder of Lake County Area Computer Enthusiasts up here in Waukegan, Illinois. We're just 40 miles north of Chicago, 40 miles south of Milwaukee, right on the border.
Wow.
We're into 38 years.
Clint,
It's
tell
been
us where you're
nationwide.
from. If you're handy.
Clint Tinsley.
Yep. He's muted. He may be away from his computer. He's in, I believe, Iowa. Who else is from out of the area? Barbara, where are you from?
I'm from SEMCO, Southeast Michigan Computer Organization,
Oh,
And
yeah,
I've
we
been a
had,
member- for a long, long time.
yeah, that's up in the Detroit area, and we had a
Right.
dual meeting with them a few months ago. That's probably
Right.
how you found us.
Yes, yes.
Glad you joined us
It was
today.
a great meeting and you were great. You talked about
Thank
it,
you.
Evernote, yeah. And I'm trying to
Elizabeth?
figure out how to use it still. I did buy a book. For
I'm from,
dummies. I bought that book.
I'm from Sun Lakes, Arizona.
Mm,
Okay.
So I've seen your talks, and of course, I used to live by Silver Ridge, which is where I think Ron was from. And a lot of the guys.
Yeah, that's the
In
Tech for
Mesa.
Seniors group. Ron Brown is very active in them, and they're out of Silver Ridge, which is
Yes,
Mesa, Arizona area. And they, up until this year, he used to winter there,
yeah.
and will be going back this coming winter.
Oh,
Let's
good.
see. Let's see who else is on here that I saw was from Sally.
Yes, I'm from Kirkland, Washington, just outside of Seattle, Washington, with the computer users, excuse me, the computer enthusiasts of Greater Seattle.
We've got quite a group here, Cheryl, as you can tell. We bring them all together when we can. And yes, this pandemic has certainly brought a lot of people together. Alan?
Hi, I'm up in Payson, Arizona, up in the rural area, 90 miles north of Phoenix. So at least we miss about 15 degrees of the heat they have.
It's terrible.
And I see David Garcia is on. He's from Manatee County, the area that I'm in. And there's some people here from CFCS as well. Ted, a longtime member of CFCS. Stan, of course. Mike. Let's
Walter
see.
Wood.
Andy Davis.
Yep.
Walter Wood.
Huey, I have a
Yes.
question for Clark.
Okay.
Clark, do you know where Millville, New Jersey is?
Yeah, it's in the southern part.
Yeah, right in the middle of South Jersey. That's my original place.
Yeah, I haven't been that area in a long time, but it's
Me neither.
yeah,
Like 30
I know
years.
the country. It's a nice area.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording unless there's something else, Stan, and then if we want to chat
No.
after that, we can.
Well, I think we've had a great meeting. Appreciate your help. The attention, the first part was just fantastic and got a lot done. if no one else has anything, more to bring up,